I don't like that. And
yeah,
I don't
everything
know.
AI related is just like, it's cool in concept, but it is just, there's a million things.
If you could have it where just people used it for fun, that'd be great. But that's not how the world works.
No.
And we had a lot of fun making really ridiculously stupid AI stuff on Bing or whatever it was.
Yeah, just like stupid memes.
And ours was literally like, we would make us, like me and Trevor, we would say, tall blonde guy with beard is shaking hands with Peter Griffin and stuff like that.
Yeah, Peter Griffin playing with Messi.
Yeah, just ridiculous stuff. And like that was funny, and like I still think that kind of stuff is funny, but we're not using that in any way maliciously, and I wouldn't even use it besides in our friend group. Like I wouldn't like, I don't know, because the way we do it is we're like, we would always do like in the style of Family Guy, which like what is Seth MacFarlane gonna be like? Hey, you kids can't make Messi in the style of Family Guy. I'm making my money off this. Like, no. But I could easily be like, I mean, imagine if, like, I don't know, Van Gogh was alive, and I'd be like, Family Guy in the style of Van Gogh, and then just make it and print it out and be like, sell it and be like, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally
Gogh.
what's happening to artists, like, right now.
Yeah.
And voice actors, too.
Yeah, I guess you could... I mean, you have something like David Hayter with Solid Snake, and if Kojima, or not Kojima, if Konami made Metal Gear, they could like be like, "Here's your voice actor. It's David Hayter, but it's not." You know.
In fact, just recently, some sort of like an authority head like organization for like voice actor, like I don't know if it's their union or just sort of some sort of like conglomerate, but they made a very controversial. Decision at CES just like a week or two ago of like approving AI for like certain voice acting sort of things, and like I remember like a lot of voice actors were really mad about it.
I'm pretty mad about it. I'm not even a voice actor. There's other stuff that's really weird, like
So here's a weird one. If I cut off this guy's leg because we're not on the same elevation, he instantly dies. That's how weird this game is programmed.
I don't know if... I'm sure other companies are doing it, but I know Disney's been buying, like, the literal after-death rights to, like, people. Like, they did, or they were doing it with James Earl Jones, obviously the voice of Darth Vader. I mean, he's, like, 90 years old. And I think he signed away his rights that they can use, like, his voice as AI, like, after he passes. And I just... don't like that at
especially
all.
when it's like Disney. Like
I wouldn't even care for anything. I just don't like it. Like, I don't know. Do you want, like, imagine if I'm not a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, but J.R.R. Tolkien, they find an unfinished manuscript for Lord of the Rings Part 4 for whatever reason, right? And then they're just like, oh, we found part of it, so let's just put the rest into AI and just have AI finish it off. It's like, no, it takes away from what that person would have wanted. Leave it unfinished. Leave it done. It's just like, I guess they could put all of the books of Game of Thrones into AI and be like, please finish this, because George R.R. Martin never will.
He's gonna die before that is done.
Well, you know there's at least 2 books left, right? And he's been working on the one for... like 11, 12 years at this point, and there's literally a book after that, if not 2. I don't know too much about it, but
and it's not like the dude's in shape.
No. So yeah, just like I said, that stuff is speaking of games that are like futuristic and whatever. I do not like it. I don't know. I'm usually okay with most newer technology. Like most newer technology is like very helpful. But we're getting to the point where, like, self-driving cars, like...
Yeah, we're getting to the point where technology is becoming, like, both a like, life hazard and also, like, an ethical hazard. It is quite a weird time to live.
Like, how mad would you be if and I understand it can happen where a human being can run into you, but imagine sitting at a stoplight and a self-driving car ran into you. How mad would you be? You'd be like, okay, what could I do about that? You can't even, like, honk at it to, like, tell the human being to, like, stop, you know? Speaking of,
talking about this game for
yeah,
a second.
go ahead.
How do you like dark, barely visible caves for the last half hour?
well, that's why I'm glad we've had stuff to talk about, because it's been like the same thing in how it looks. It's kind of a similar thing. So it's been very cold recently in pretty much the Northeast and the central part of the United States. And a lot of people with pure electric cars like Teslas
Oh, cool.
have not been able to charge their cars because it's been so cold. I guess the batteries on them have like not been functioning because it's like 10, 15 degrees. And I was reading a little bit about it, and there were some like, I shouldn't have read it, but like Facebook threads where boomers were like, my gas guzzler's working just fine, and I'm like, okay, well that's not the point, you know. But like,
the point is that your precious gas will not last forever.
Yes. And like people are like, that's why I keep my 4x4 SUV, and I'm like,
That's
all right.
why I have my Hummer get 6 miles per gallon.
I drive a pickup truck. I get it, dude. If I could magically have an electric pickup truck or like a hybrid pickup truck, I totally would.
I would get an electric car. It's just that I have no money and they're expensive.
Yes.
If they were like as cheap as gas cars, I would totally get one.
Someone made a good point that a hybrid is a good answer because at least the hybrid can like get it started and whatever. But it is interesting. I mean, it's not usually 10 degrees across the country, but apparently when it is, those batteries are not functioning. Or oftentimes they're not functioning. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It has also been really, really friggin' cold.
It's 10 o'clock right now. How long do you want me to play?
When did you start? You started at like 9:30.
Something like that.
10:15, 10:30. That way we can split it into two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also been...
It'd be cool if I can do this entire section, but I just don't know how much longer.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I usually do not get cold, but over the past week, even I've been like, dang, it's cold.
Yeah.
I found that my point where I'm like, it's actually cold is like 20 degrees and less. 30 degrees, literally, I wear like a light sweater maybe, and I'm like fine. Unless it's like snowing or super windy.
For me, it depends.
But less than 20 is like brutally cold for me.
Yeah. For me, it depends because, like, if it's, like, 30 and clear, I'm completely fine. But if it's 30 and windy, then I am uncomfortable.
Yes. Yes.
It's just sort of like, if it's 80 and not humid at all, I am completely fine. But if it's, like, 70... Well, maybe that was a bad example. If it's 90 and not humid, I am fine. But if it's 80 and humid as hell,
well,
I am miserable.
Too bad. Name one single day ever in Pennsylvania where it's 90 and not humid.
It's true.
I mean, it's just not a thing. Out in the desert and the West Coast, it'll be 90 and not humid, and it's nice. But yeah, it's I found that's my point. I also like legitimately do not get cold except for my feet and my hands, but my feet and my hands get frozen. Like, man, I was shoveling the other day and I was like, my toes are frozen, but the rest of my body was perfectly fine. Just sucks.
I'm trying to bait these guys up here, but they're not hearing me. It's fine.
What? AI's not really good in this game? Get out of here.
Hello. Prompts! Prompts! What?
What?
I was matching X, but why did that work? Okay.
Okay. I swear you had a better angle last time.
This new, I swear this new patch is like, it made the game worse than like everything else.
I'm still just not, I know it's been a thing for 10 years, but I'm still just not used to the patch life. Like, how...
Yeah, especially when you like load up a game and it downloads a patch and the game is completely different then.
It's just, it's crazy to me. Do you remember when we played Remothered Broken Porcelain? So
more
the second
like
Remothered
broken
game?
Piece of crap,
Yep,
am I right?
literally.
That game was horrible.
And when we played the Switch version, which we did not update, and it was literally like the most unplayable piece of garbage ever. And then we played it. What did we play it on then? PC?
Yeah, I think so.
We played it completely legal, bought on PC.
We already bought the game on Switch.
I know. I bought it once. And it was fully updated, and it was like night and day difference. Like, it still sucked, but it was actually playable. Like, it's crazy to me. The biggest example, because I don't play a lot of well, in fact, anymore, I don't play any competitive games. But when I used to play Madden, they would have a patch, I think, usually every Monday or every other Monday. And it was so frustrating because they would completely change how the game works. Like, 1 week, passing would be OP. So, like, you know, passing the ball, like, you couldn't be stopped. And then the next week, passing wouldn't work at all, and running would be OP. Like, you literally couldn't be stopped running. And I'm like, what is this? So you couldn't get used to anything. You couldn't, like, make a team or pick a team off you liked or, like, work out certain plays because you're like, oh, now they can run up the middle. I mean, Trev knows enough about football. Like, I would do goal line defense, engage 8, or field goal block, and they would still run up the middle and get, like, 6 yards. And I was like, okay, well, all right. I don't know how this would work in real life, but okay. And then the next week, that you couldn't run to save your life, and it's like, thanks, Patches. I really appreciate it. I mean, everyone hates Madden, obviously, but that's classic Madden, where they'll, like, take away a bunch of stuff, and then slowly drip feed it back in the game, and they're like, check out this new thing. And it's like, no, it's not new. You literally, whenever they get to a new console generation, it becomes the most basic game possible, and then they slowly start drip feeding stuff and be like, check out this new thing. And it's like, no, it was literally there for PS2, and then it was there for PS3, and then it was there for PS4. You just literally took it away. Also, I'm forever butthurt that they're using the Frostbite engine. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to use an engine that's used for Battlefield to play a freaking football game. Tell me, I forget what the
I'm restoring checkpoints just to refill my grip gauge.
Explain to me how that makes sense.
It doesn't. I think it was literally an EA mandate to be like, hey, Frostbite is our engine, let's make every game be Frostbite.
That means NHL, which is another sport game they make, is also Frostbite. Explain to me. It's a first-person shooter thing. It's not quite as bad as Bethesda still using... They still use that engine, right? The engine that's old enough to drink?
Yeah, it's called Gamebryo, and it was actually called something previously. Gamebryo isn't even like the first incarnation of it.
I forget the name, but yeah.
But then they changed the they changed it to Creation Engine.
That's right. And that's what it is.
And Starfield is running Creation Engine 2, and I just don't. What is going on, dude? Okay, I'll just use this.
I'm so glad that people have started to, like, realize that Starfield and all Bethesda games are, like, boring AF. Because when Bethesda first came out, it was, like, mostly positive reviews in general, where people are like, yeah, this game's pretty fun. But now that it's been out, like, 4 months, people are like, actually, it's not very good. And I'm like, finally.
I think the thing is that me and Spencer don't really like Bethesda games, but there's definitely a certain appeal to them. They're a big open world game where you can just do whatever you want, and it's very immersive. And there's just no games quite like it. Like, even like I'm literally playing through Dragon Age Origins, which is another Western RPG. And there's a lot of similar elements, but it's just not like a Bethesda game. It's hard to explain. But Starfield is like the worst of every world because it's the boringness of a Bethesda game, but it has everything is randomly generated, and like worlds have like nothing in them, and there's already been videos of people like showing how they just generate the same like outposts like in all these randomly generated worlds. There's nothing to see. There's barely any times when there's like new enemies to fight, and I think that's really why people like hate Starfield.
The only time a game should have anything procedurally generated, or let me put it this way, there's always going to be some procedurally generated stuff, but the majority of the game being procedurally generated is like a small indie roguelike dungeon crawler. Like I think what's that game? Binding of Isaac. I think that's procedurally generated dungeons.
Yeah. But like that game has like
but that's
fun
fine because
gameplay.
it's small. It's small and it also has its own specific rules. You can't make a huge game with this like planet that it takes you 20 minutes to walk from one side to the other and have it procedurally generated.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
The other big problem
it's
is
so boring.
There's just no like rovers or like any sort of cool like vehicles or like anything. Come on, bro. What? How did you hear me? I didn't do anything.
Wow, they are like everywhere. I forget, was it Daggerfall, which was also procedurally generated, but like that's also an Elder Scrolls game people don't like a lot because it's procedurally generated.
At least it has
just, like,
things in it. They like generate towns and like dungeons and stuff. But like Starfield like doesn't have dungeons. They just have like caves. And like there's nothing in the caves and they just recycle the same like quests, like go find this guy, go get this thing.
At that point it just feels like you're doing a job. And who wants to play a video game where it's like a job?
Yeah.
I mean, people do obviously. Or people, I guess, convince themselves that it's fun.
I should be able to do this next section, and that's a good
Let's go.
Stopping off point. I wonder what's about to happen here. There's like 5 of these chests. Make me think.
Quite literally nothing. Oh, 5 chests, but you have like 3 spots available.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna pick up like as much as I can and sell a lot of this.
Delicious.
I was hoping for more grip batteries. The grip is the best part of this. Man, did I only get like 1? Okay, I have 4. That's fine.
But I've seen a lot of, my favorite thing to watch on YouTube is, I don't know what you would call them besides long-form video game essays. And, sometimes people are tongue-in-cheek with it. Like, they'll be like, I talk a little bit about Starfield, and the video will be like 5 hours long. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, video essays are getting to a point where they are just absolutely ludicrous. It's like brief retrospective of game at 10 hours.
Yeah, and I'm like, holy crap.
It's like, shut up.
That's the power of you know what. The only one I really, really, really like, and I've shared the videos to the group chat sometimes, is I Finished a Video Game is what it's called. But he's British, so I feel like when British people do or say anything, I appreciate it more. Just because I can listen to a British guy be like, the history of Castlevania, Symphony of the Noise. And I'm like, yes, yes. Tell me the things.
So this part is very directly like ripped from Dead Space 2 when Ellie is driving the digger thing through the cave. Like this is the exact same thing.
To go into the video essay thing just a little bit more, I think YouTube changed how monetization works at some point, and now it's more important, rather than getting views, it's more about minutes watched. I believe that's the case, which is why people like having these super long videos. Because not only that, but like if someone falls asleep to your video and then all 8 hours of it plays, it's like boom, you just got 8 hours there of that. And there's also weird ones. I obviously only pay attention to like video essays on video game stuff, or sometimes like movie stuff. But there's like weird ones where it's like a brief retrospective of the sweet life of Zack and Cody, a Disney Channel show I like never watched about like 4 kids starring kids, and it'll be like 7 hours long, and I'm like, what in God's name is this? What is going on?
That's what happens when people are desperate for money and no places. Everyone's getting laid off and people need money more than ever. It's just, yeah, YouTube, this random thing. Here's this video. Give me money.
Man. So I can't even imagine the other subjects that are out there. Just like the most ridiculously banal things.
I don't know what happened there.
I want to see, like, a brief retrospective of why everyone calls tissues Kleenex, regardless if they're Kleenex or not. I want to see, like, an 8-hour video on that.
It would be cool to, not specifically that, but, you know, like, brand recognition, like, the power of it. And, like, how it, like, warps people's, like, perception on, like, product categories. It's kind of interesting.
The two I can think of off the top of my head is everyone calls, not everyone, but a majority of people call tissues, they call them Kleenex.
Yeah, and Band-Aid.
Band-Aid is the other one that I could think of. I'm sure that there's many others. Like, any glass cleaner is going to be called Windex, but not necessarily any cleaner is going to be called Windex.
Right,
but
so
nobody ever says bandages, they say Band-Aid.
These are the hardest biophage in the game that aren't the, like, boss. They have a ridiculous amount of health. So you actually want to kind of, like, shoot their head. If you can, try to shoot just one side of their head. And then, since I shot the left one a lot, I'm going to try to attack the... Okay, it didn't work. But if you kind of shoot the, like, one side of the head... Oh, it did do it. Okay.
Wow, that's really cool. So when the one side dies, he literally just takes it off. That's... I try to give this game props when it deserves it, and that's a really cool...
Yeah, this is like the only cool biophage in the game. Other than, I guess, the stupid heads in a sack thing.
Oh, yeah, the one that I thought were bloodworms, but they weren't.
Yeah, the extendo neck head things.
And essentially, that's just like a scary baby head on a sack, like a long sack thing. That's cool. And it goes to show you, like, that organism is just like, this part of me is dead and not helping. I'm pulling it off. That's really neat.
But
really neat.
The biophage kind of peaked there, so that's sort of like the two head should be like a mid-tier enemy. Like if this was a game with like things happening and cool enemies, like the two head should be like a mid-tier, like heavier class enemy, not the strongest biophage.
I mean, you just played for, like, what, an hour? And this is, like, the first story thing that happened. And it's just you talking to Danny for, like, a second.
Yeah. Literally no story happened. It was just, we were in a dark cave. And the sneaking isn't even over yet. There's still another part.
Man.
But I'm just getting through this boring walking segment just to set it up for the next part.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not saying a game has to be, like, constant story. You know, sometimes games like that can be boring. Do you remember the big indie game that started the games that really aren't games and are just story?
Gone Home?
Gone Home, that's what I was thinking of, too. I never played that one, because even for me, that's a little bit too, like, pretentious. Where it's just, like, read a bunch of diaries that are around this house or whatever. But after Gone Home, man... Everyone started, but there's one I want to play. You play as like you play at this forest outlook, like this like, I forget what it's called. I don't have my phone on me. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's pretty famous. You play as like this person at this like remote forest outlook. And the only time you ever talk to someone...
Firewatch?
Firewatch, that's it. I was thinking Firefighter. I think I had the stuff spoiled for me, but I still want to try it out sometime just because it seems like enough gameplay so it's not ridiculously pretentious. But I've heard good things about that one. I also, more than your average person, accept games like that.
I kind of remember that I also got spoiled in Firewatch, but I also don't give a crap.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
So there's still the blind biophage here, so sneaking's not over, but we're done with this part.
Yay! We got more sneaking next time, but Jacob...
But I think after this, we're in like a weird like shanty town sort of thing, and like the first half is sneaking, but then after that they drop these enemies, thank God.
Yay! Alright guys, we'll see you next time with more Callisto Protocol, and guess what? There's gonna be maybe 30 seconds of story next time, maybe even 40 seconds. Maybe you talk to Danny and she says 2 lines. Can you believe
Did that like item just like appear from nowhere? That's on the ground right now?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Well.
No, I'm not sure. Anyway, see you guys. Bye!